Hey, I'm Andy MacNeil, host of the Puck Portfolio, Canada Sports Betting's new hockey podcast. I'm here weekdays at 12:30 p.m. Eastern Time right here on the Canada Sports Betting YouTube channel and wherever you get your podcast, providing projections, betting advice, and strategies to help you hockey fans make informed bets throughout the NHL season. Please, if you haven't already, pause the video really quick, hit that like button, subscribe to the Canada Sports Betting YouTube channel. It will really help out a ton as we try to grow this channel and this show. But let's talk about opening day, shall we? All in all, a pretty entertaining afternoon night of hockey, but unfortunately, it was not a profitable night for me. My big bet on the Predators did not hit. If they had only started on time, Nashville was terrible in the first period. The Predators had just 5 shots through the first 25 minutes of action, but the Preds did start to tilt the ice in their favor, and they took the game over for a bit. I think overall, they probably generated more scoring opportunities, more quality scoring opportunities than the Lightning did. And I think the stats will back that up. They even led in the third period, but not for very long, probably just creating a sense of false hope for all of us that bet on them. But too many costly penalties against the dangerous Lightning power play, especially that penalty shot that was awarded to Brandon Hagel that really helped the Lightning get back in that game. So tough one there. Tough way to start the season, but it's a marathon, not a sprint. So we'll get back on our horse and keep going. There will be more big edges, big bets to make, and a lot of little bets too. It just sucks because losing that bet was really like losing 2 bets at the same time, and so hopefully I can win a couple of smaller bets or a couple of bigger bets and get back on track here. But not a great day to start nonetheless. But it was great watching Connor Bedard. Wow. He played over 21 minutes, attempted 11 shots, 5 of which hit the net. And the Blackhawks looked very good. Of course, Bedard also picked up his first point and assist on a goal. But one sharp sportsbook closed with his shots on goal shaded to minus 221 over 2.5 shots. And I think his shots will start to resemble that of other top NHLers really soon. Sportsbooks, the odds kind of varied shop to shop. I don't think anybody really knew quite how to price Bedard's props, but I think they'll probably figure it out pretty quickly. Goaltender Peter Mrazek also looked good against the Penguins, at least in my eyes. Mrazek wasn't bad last season either, and like almost every goaltender in the NHL, I think Peter Mrazek has the ability to play really good at times, and it'll be interesting to see if he can have a good season here. It'll go a long way in helping the Blackhawks get out of the basement, or maybe the Penguins were just really bad. They looked really rough. Especially Erik Karlsson did not look good in his first game as a member of the Pittsburgh Penguins. But either way, Chicago owned 54% of the expected goals at 5-on-5 and jumped to 61% when you factor in all situations, according to Natural Stat Trick. Evolving Hockey, the website that I usually use for game logs, they're not up and running yet. They wait a couple of days or a few days before they start to integrate the current season stats into their website. They're probably petting their cats or listening to jazz music right now or something. Either way, get it together, guys. I need you right now. But anyway, let's move on to the Golden Knights, their big win over the Seattle Kraken. The game ended 4-1, but I don't think it was as lopsided as the score makes it seem. At least statistically, it doesn't seem that way. Really strong performance from Adin Hill, though. He stopped all of the low danger and high danger chances that he faced, let in a high danger chance, stopped 22 of 23 shots overall. So great way for him to start the season. But I think, like I said, that the score was a little bit misleading. So anyway, let's get on to Wednesday's games. I know we touched on Wednesday's games on Tuesday's show, and that'll be a theme here all season long. We're going to stay one step ahead, right? The best chance that I have to give you a good bet or give you some information that will lead to a good bet is if we're, getting to the early lines, the openers. I know that might be a bit uncomfortable for some people. They're thinking, oh, what about injuries? What about starting goaltenders? Well, I mean, I do a pretty good job, I think, speculating on that stuff. And I feel pretty comfortable making some educated guesses as far as who's going to start in goal. And I think over the course of a season, 1,312 games in the NHL regular season, it usually works out in the wash. If you're making good starting goaltender predictions, then some will go against you, some will go your way. Things will work out in your favor sometimes, not always, but hopefully it'll work out in the wash. at the end of the season. So I don't necessarily think that it's a great idea to wait for starting goaltenders. Some people might disagree. I know some content companies are making shows out of it right before game time, talking about the starting goaltenders, which at that point is pretty useless information. I mean, maybe there's some good breakdowns, but as far as from a betting perspective, if you're analyzing starting goaltenders a half hour or an hour before the games go, well, I don't know, you kind of miss the boat, because you've got to get on these announcements, these starting goaltender announcements, kind of before they happen, and that's what I try to do here. So, anyway, let's take a look at Wednesday's games. Of course, I showed you guys my projections yesterday. We bet on the Senators, small bet, 0.6 units at plus 180. Well, the best out there at this point is plus 175 by the looks of things. And as I mentioned on Tuesday's show, that's not a very good bet. Not a good bet at all. I wouldn't make it. So it was plus 180 or nothing for me on the Senators. That's not available anymore. So kind of one of the reasons why you should be tuning into this show every day. We're going to stay a day ahead. We are hopefully going to get ahead of the market on some of these plays. And that's I think a big draw and a big reason for you guys to keep coming back each and every day. So the Senators plus 180, 0.6 units to win a little more than a unit. So it would help get some of that money that I lost back on the Predators. But a little bit of concern here, as you know, Ottawa has not figured out all of their contract situations. Of course, Josh Norris dealing with an injury, and Shane Pinto, as a result, has not been signed yet. Apparently, the two sides are far away when it comes to contract talks. Not great for the Senators. They might be playing a bit shorthanded tonight, so maybe not great for my bet. Maybe I jumped the gun a little bit, but I'm happy that I got a good price here, and hopefully it stays that way, and we can maybe get a win tonight on the underdog Senators. If Chicago keeps it up, I know they're in action tonight against the Boston Bruins, but if they keep it up, the projection model will start to reflect that soon enough. But unlike Peter Mrazek, Arvid Soderblom, who is expected to get the start against the Bruins on Wednesday, he's not a known commodity. He has 18 games under his belt, and his peripherals not really good in those 18 games. So a step down from Peter Mrazek, in my opinion. I don't know if they would be better off playing Mrazek on back-to-back nights. It is the start of the season. You don't want to wear a guy out too fast, and Chicago really doesn't have a whole lot of hope in hell of making the playoffs this year. I'm probably going to eat crow for that one with how they played last night, but we'll see. So yeah, no play on the Bruins, but certainly no play on the Blackhawks either. And of course, we've got the Canadians and the Toronto Maple Leafs opening the season up in Toronto. It's going to be a fun one. It always is. I don't have a lot of much of an opinion on this one from a betting perspective. I think the Maple Leafs should be priced around minus 280, which is sort of in the middle of where the market is right now. So nothing on that game for me. And same goes for Calgary and Winnipeg. Now, I think the price is kind of varying sportsbook to sportsbook. Some sharper sportsbooks might have minus 120 available, or something closer to that. But I think the consensus odds right now are around minus 130, but we will check that out in a little bit here. And the Kings and the Colorado Avalanche, that is an interesting one. I think it's a pick 'em, but there is a situation, I guess, unfolding with Victor Arvidsson, who is questionable for tonight's game against the Avalanche. Obviously, that would be a big loss for the Kings. I don't know if it's enough to move the needle in terms of, you know, being able to justify a bet on the Avalanche if that's the case, but it definitely moves the needle, and the Kings will likely end up being a home underdog. Already seeing plus 111 at some shops. And the Edmonton Oilers. Remember when Canucks GM Jim Rutherford said that the Canucks were a playoff team if everything goes right? Well, that's off to a great start, as their big trade deadline acquisition, or one of their big trade deadline acquisitions to help out their defense corps. Carson Soucy, he's on the shelf. They're talking about trading Connor Garland. There's a flu going around the team ahead of their home opener versus the Oilers on Wednesday. Sounds like everything is going according to GM JR's plan for the Canucks. So it's gonna be fun to watch Vancouver this season, whether they're good or bad. It's going to be entertaining. I've got the Oilers, who look like they're going to be without Matthias Ekholm, dealing with a hip injury. Like I said on Tuesday's show, Edmonton not in a hurry to rush this player back, even if he does mean a lot to the team. They can do without him for a little bit. Better to have him back at 100% heading in to the season. And that means there's a little bit of an edge on the Edmonton Oilers at minus 160. I think there is actually a better price out there than that currently, though. So I definitely would not bet minus 160. But the price that I'm talking about, I think it's minus 154. Not widely available. Maybe available at one, maybe two sports books. Sort of obscure sports books that aren't available to everybody. So I don't know that it's necessarily fair to say like, oh yeah, I like the Oilers at minus 154, because of course you do. It's 15 cents cheaper than everywhere else. Not very insightful, Andy. Well, anyway, let's check out the odds. We'll see what's going on here. I've got a couple of different books, and for anybody that's like, yeah, you don't got time to shop for lines, I just want to bet what's on my favorite sports book. Well, look, there's a lot of sports books. You can do like I do, and you can just open up a tab here. It's super simple. Look, I got Sports Interaction. Bang, bet 365. Bang, bet 99. Oh, it's North Star Bets. Back to Sports Interaction. Super easy, right? To shop around. Very, very easy. Talked about the Senators at plus 180. They're plus 165 now. So I guess, at least for now, the market is on my side. A little bit validating, considering that we could be, like I said, dealing with a shorthanded lineup for the Senators tonight, but maybe some more movement on that one when the information becomes available here this morning. So we can check around. Bet 365. They've got the Senators at plus 165. Oh, bet 99 all the way down at plus 155. So quite a ways away from plus 180 where we bet the Senators yesterday. And North Star plus 160. And as far as the Oilers go, minus 165 at Sports Interaction. We've got minus 165 at bet 365 and minus 160 at bet 99. So like I said, I'm not recommending a bet on the Oilers at minus 160, but that just shows you how you can save a little bit on your bet if you do shop around. And even if you do a little bit more shopping around, I can't look at a dozen sports books right now. I mean, there are ways I could do that, but that would just muddy up the screen, and we want to keep things neat here. So shop around. Definitely recommend doing that. But like I said yesterday, I'm not going to light the world on fire with any of my plays here, especially in the first few days, because these markets have been up for weeks. You've been able to bet on these games for 2-3 weeks, maybe more, maybe longer. So that means that all the sports bettors that like to bet on hockey have already looked through this list and we're like, that's a good bet, I'm going to bet it. That's a bad bet, I'm not going to bet it. And they've made those decisions, and this is where we're at right now. So I mean, at this point, unless there are some changes, whether that's goaltenders or injuries or what have you, there's not going to be a whole lot of movement here. So the lines kind of are what they are right now for these first few days of NHL action. I'm sure they'll change a little bit, but I don't expect them to change too much. So there's not a whole lot to talk about when it comes to Wednesday's NHL action. Of course, like I mentioned, the Kings could be without Victor Arvidsson. They're minus 105, anywhere from minus 105 to even money, possibly even higher at some sports books. So shop around, but I think that is a pick 'em, as I mentioned. So we'll look at my projections again. I've got the Avalanche as minus 102 favorites. Means they've got a 50.5% chance of winning. Not any value there betting the Avalanche as a favorite, obviously, and no value on any of the other games either. But there might be some value on Thursday, and we could talk about Thursday. Nobody's stopping us from talking about Thursday's game. If there's not really anything worth betting, no money lines that I really like on Wednesday, well, let's move on and talk about Thursday. So that's what we're gonna do here today. Let's just move on over, and right off the bat, right away, the Rangers. They stick out as a pretty good play. As always, odds are subject to change, but I've got the Rangers. Assuming Igor Shesterkin is in goal, I've got the Rangers projected at minus 136 on the money line, a 57.7% chance of winning. And if we shop around here at some of the sports books, We can see that the Rangers are minus 125 at Sports Interaction. They are minus 125 at Bet365. They're minus 125 at Bet99. And they are moving at North Star Bets to minus 129. I actually just saw minus 124 there a little while ago and was thinking, oh, hey, I can save a cent here on this one. But you know what? Let's lock the Rangers in at minus 125, 1.2 units. So not quite a full play, but that's what the projection model calls for. 1.2 units. That's the risk, and that's the first play for Thursday. The Rangers over the Buffalo Sabres. Now I know a lot of you love the Buffalo Sabres. I love the Sabres too, but that love has resulted in some a little bit too much hype here. I think. Look, they were really good last year, but they crushed expectations. Their regular season point total was in the 70s, and they finished in the 90s. And I don't think the Sabres are going to finish that far above expectations this season because expectations are already in the 90s. So I wouldn't be surprised if Buffalo takes a step forward here, but there's a lot of confidence in rookie goaltender Devin Levi and the Sabres group as a whole. And I think that's resulting in a pretty good price for on the Rangers side. And when you look at how the market has been moving, I think that there is something there because the Rangers were available at minus 111 at some sports books, even, and now they're not. So I think that minus 120 might be the best price. Maybe by the end of today, minus 130 or even worse than that might be the best price that you'll be able to find on the Rangers. So I'm locking that in. You do what you want, but Rangers minus 125, 1.2 unit play. For me, next up, I don't really have a whole lot of interest here outside of watching Patrick Laine at center, which is going to be pretty fun. I think I don't have a whole lot of interest in this game between the Flyers or Blue Jackets, and the same goes for the Red Wings and the Devils. If anything, I might end up with a small bet on the Red Wings after I do some more shopping around, which is freaking gross. I hope that doesn't happen, but I've got the Devils lined at around minus 220. Maybe that's too low. I don't know. I've got to look at some stuff. But that would be really gross if I ended up on the Red Wings. Dallas, though, they should beat the snot out of the St. Louis Blues in a given game. It's opening night, though, and you never know what teams will or won't have their legs under them, like Nashville on Wednesday. Still, I've got the Stars, lined around minus 225. So minus 210 is a good bet, but I would only recommend risking 1.2 units on this play. So it's not going to return a very big amount. Minus 210 odds, 1.2 unit risk, roughly a half unit play. Roughly. And I think that is going to be it as far as bets for Thursday. Like I said, it's pretty tough to find some value here. Hopefully, I've done a good job finding some value. I've got the Rangers minus 125, 1.2 units, and the Stars minus 210 at 1.2 units on the money line. Next up, we can talk about the Panthers here. This one, I think at first blush, I looked and I'm like, okay, I might be on the Panthers at around plus 112 because that's what we're seeing out there in the market right now. But I'm interested here to see what happens because they're missing Sam Bennett. They're of course also missing Aaron Ekblad and Brandon Montour. I've got the Wild priced around minus 110 now, so there's no value on the Panthers. But their opening night lineup, there are some nice pieces here, of course, with Matthew Tkachuk and Carter Verhaeghe and so on. But it looks uglier than I thought it would. So I'm definitely wanting to take a closer look at the Panthers. I'm definitely wanting to watch how they do tonight in Minnesota. And now that the Predators, who I talked about earlier, have their legs under them, I'm really interested to see how they play versus the Kraken on Thursday. Nashville is a notoriously tough place to play because of all the distractions, much like Vegas. But from a betting perspective, I don't think either side offers a whole lot of value. The game is roughly a pick 'em. I'm just really interested to see what this Predators team can do here. They looked really good at times against Tampa Bay, but I doubt that I will be actually betting on either team to win. And Vegas, big favorites against the San Jose Sharks, who are projected by most to be the worst team in the NHL, so that shouldn't come as a surprise. The projection model has Vegas winning the game roughly 72% of the time. I'm not sure how I feel about that. The Sharks, they're going to be bad. We know that, but and they're going to probably not have Logan Couture in the lineup for this game, but I'm happy I don't have a big enough edge to justify a bet on the favorite here. I don't really want to do that in this particular spot. But that's it for Wednesday's episode of the Puck Portfolio. Good luck with your bets. And please remember to gamble responsibly. Just to recap, I'm on the New York Rangers up to -125 for 1.2 units, and the Dallas Stars up to -210, 1.2 units. What I mean when I say that is I would not bet the Rangers at -126 or -127. Same goes for the Stars. I'm not betting -215 or -220. Up to -125 on the Rangers, up to -210 on the Dallas Stars. Both bets 1.2 units risk. Thanks for joining me. I'll see you tomorrow.